Hello everyone, this is Blankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, I'm going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere, and I bring you new Shalom variant, Eyeless Shalom, because I wanted to check the bangs this morning, because while I got them mostly right, there's, a couple of spots that I'm not entirely happy with. So I needed to go back and fix those, and I felt like the eyes were making it hard for me to see. So, Eyeless Shalom for a little while. I will put her eyes back after I finish adjusting the bangs here. So while I do think that they were kind of being a little bit of a distraction here, I do want them for when I start rigging the bangs in the lower left corner here. Fortunately, there's not too much I want to fix up here. I just noticed that this center portion here that I'm kind of circling with my cursor was kind of fat. So I wanted to fix that up, and a little bit of squirming in a couple of other places, yada yada. All the usual. All the usual kind of small minor things that I still need to fix because otherwise it will bother me. So one of my guilty pleasure game series is having a release in the next coming days. Infinity Nikki is almost here. I'm actually quite excited. Even if I am perhaps a little bit embarrassed to say so. So for those that don't know, the Nikki series is a series of dress-up games. And they're quite pretty. They look very nice. Which, very important when you're designing a dress-up game. Because, like, half that game's gameplay is, does the things that you can use to dress up look nice? Do they all look nice? Is it pretty? Can you make nice ensembles and interesting character designs and that kind of thing? And the latest installment in that series is going to be Infinity Nikki. And that one is taking the idea of a Genshin Impact clone and then adding dress-up to it, and I am all for it. I mean, in terms of gameplay, I'm in the camp that I think Genshin is okay, but not exactly great. But I think it's a solid idea, just the open-world exploration type game is actually a pretty solid idea for a dress-up game. Just because, like, half the point of games like that is, well, making nice designs and then taking pretty pictures. And so, combining the nice designs with nice scenery to take pretty pictures in is a good idea, in my opinion, so really looking forward to playing that. That'll come up in the evening on December 5th. I will be asleep when the server's open, but that's okay. I'll just play it in the morning. I'm very excited. It's like I haven't been playing the series as much lately. Just because I've been able to channel my character design tendencies into actual drawing. But it is a fun little distraction for when I just want to do something creative without taking the time to draw like a finished picture or something. Creativity and laziness. And at least in the current installment of Shining Nikki, I rather enjoy the weekly competition where they give you a prompt to design something for. And then people vote on which ones they like. So I've been having fun with that. I skipped several weeks, but the past couple of weeks I've done it, and I've been pretty happy that I've done it. I always have a good time when I go through and just make something real quick. So there you go, one of Plankera's dark secrets. I am perhaps a little bit excited for a Genshin Impact clone. Uh, it does look like it's pretty fun though. I mean, like I said, half the point of fashion games is to be pretty, so they've succeeded very hard there. Game is very pretty. And at least design-wise, I am under the impression that they got one of the lead designers from Breath of the Wild to work on it. So maybe it'll have some interesting stuff to do too. But honestly, like, it's a dress-up game, so if it's just pretty, I'll be satisfied with that. They've already shown me everything that they need to show that the game is going to give me everything I want. Now it's just a matter of whether or not it gives more. Okay, bangs seem to be doing a little bit better here. I think I still have a couple of spots I want to fix. I'm just gonna do some very intense staring for a little bit. My nose is just really itchy for some reason. There we go. My nose itchiness is always very funny to me. Because, like, when it comes to allergies and stuff, normally that's like the inside of my nose that gets itchy. But here it's the outside, like on the tip and in the area around my mouth. For some reason it just gets really itchy, and I don't know why. Bodies are weird. Personally, I welcome the day for when we'll be able to replace our silly meat bodies with robotic equivalents. Sounds pretty sweet. I could totally go for being a brain in a jar. The real reason I'm an anime girl on the internet, because I secretly long to be a brain in a jar. It's like I'd say more about the art today, but it's more just small bang tweaking, and there's not a lot to say about that. Normally I don't go this hardcore about getting everything just right, but it's like, it's the bangs, it's right between her eyes. If it's off and squirming, like, it's not gonna look good. So, I want to fix it, and I want it to be as good as I can make it. Which means lots of little tweaks and lots of making her nod. Just a little bit of a time-consuming process with only a small amount of changes here and there. So just something I kind of gotta do, but not a lot of exciting stuff to say about it. Times like this are great for questions, if any of you have any. Want to know something about rigging, or about me, or just want to hear me talk about something else, that's fine. Feel free to direct my brain in directions. It's actually very helpful, because then I don't have to think of everything all by myself. But for now, I'll just be poking at small bank changes, I suppose, until I am satisfied. Fortunately, most things look fine here, just because I made the tips a little bit long in my initial turn, and I wanted to raise them up yesterday. They were still a little bit off. And so now I just kind of have to come back and fix them up a little bit. And because I used the brush tool to move everything around, well, it means some stuff kind of got squashed. So I kind of have to fix that. This is pretty normal when I use the brush tool to move things around. Really good for the short term, and depending on how many vertices are around, good for the long term too. But it does typically mean that I have a bunch of stuff I need to fix up afterward. So I'm just gonna go through and fix those things up. Man, it's kind of hard to believe that it's December. It's like the year is almost done. I think I did a lot this year. I'm quite proud of myself. Made a VTuber model. Learned how to use the software to rig the VTuber model. Did a character design for it and all that stuff. Learned how to stream, learned how to do all these things and edit videos and all these things that I had never done before. Drawing skill went through the roof, man. It's like if I'm comparing what I was drawing this time last year, and hell, this time 2 years ago, the difference is even more stark. Versus what I'm drawing now, it's like, oh man, difference is night and day. I have learned many things, and I've tried very hard. Been teaching my kids how to read and doing a lot of stuff for them, and life is good. It's been a jam-packed year, so I'm hoping that next year is just the same. Probably talk about this more closer to New Year's. But it's been a very exciting couple of years for me. I think time starts to move a little bit differently when you have kids. Especially when they're really, really little. Because when they're tiny like that, you know, younger than 5, everything about them changes very, very rapidly. Like, I just remember that, my son was not talking at all, like 4 months ago. Maybe 4 to 6 months ago. Just was not talking, and the doctor was somewhat concerned that he might be experiencing some developmental delays, but I wasn't really worried. I just figured I'd let him do his thing and he'd be fine. And indeed he was. Now he's talking a lot. Complete sentences. Talking in complete sentences, and he's getting to the point where he can actually kind of have conversations. The other day, I asked him if he had fun yesterday. And he said yes. And so I asked him what he did yesterday. And he answered correctly. He actually talked about what he did yesterday. So he understands these things. The concept of yesterday, he can remember what he did yesterday, and these were things that were not happening a few months ago, so things change very fast. Whereas I think for people who are kids or people without kids that do not quite get that same stark feeling of differences from day to day, week to week, month to month. It's like, man, sometimes I forget that I started streaming in May. Feels like it's been longer. Also simultaneously not that long. It's okay, time is fake. If you look into a lot of what we know about space-time, it's like, yeah, our understanding of what time is totally fake. Anyway, before I bring that existential dread upon my stream again, I finished the bangs, so we can turn our head back on. Hooray! And her eyes. We won't have Isla Shalom anymore. There we go. Okay. So that's looking much better. So now, back to the lower left, which means face back off. We don't need a face here. Okay. Time to start smoothing out the tips in this area. Always a bit of an adventure. Okay. Just taking a moment to figure out where I want to start. So yesterday I kind of did the bigger picture stuff. I guess I did it. I did this in like 3 layers, you can think of it as. The first be with the mesh group, where I did the basics of just getting everything in a rough, roughly where it needs to go. Very, very roughly. Care about, where some of these center lines were, where the part going down her hair was, and all that kind of stuff. Where the outer edges were going to be. And just general, very, very big picture stuff. And then from there, I put in a few more details. I started figuring out where some of the bigger shapes were going to go, like this part of her side bangs over here, where some of these highlights were going to go, and some of that stuff. How the bang was going to swoosh. Just more basic stuff. And now I'm doing the third layer, the details. This is when I'm going to get everything to be in the correct place. So once I finish with this layer, it'll be done. So this is where I get extremely specific. I zoom in to like 1000% all the time. And I'm being very particular about where things go. Past couple of days, I could just kind of derp around, and it felt pretty good. It felt really nice to have a couple of days to derp around. But now we gotta get serious again. Get serious and get all of those little details into place. And for that, I'm starting with the tips of the bangs, as I typically do. I just always find that to be a very nice place to get started. The reason being is that the easiest way to make sure that everything is positioned correctly is to look at something else that you already have positioned correctly. Because the idea is that everything should move roughly equally relative to the things around it. So that's why a lot of the time I'll use like her chin as a good way to tell if something is moving the correct amount. So when I was working on the bang here just before, the reason that I was having her nod was I was looking at the bang, and I was looking down at her eyes and her chin, and I'm like, okay, is this moving the same amount as those two parts? And once I decided that, yes, this is the case, then it was done. Yeah. There's some dust in my air filter and it keeps startling me. Sometimes it moves around and it makes this loud clicking noise. And it kind of startles me. Anyway, as I was saying, that everything needs to move relative to the things around it. And I use the chin and the eyes as a good guideline for that. And in this case, would you look at that? This part of the front bang right here, these tips, right between her eyes. An area that I already know is moving the way I want it to. So, I'm able to just kind of go in, and if it's moving nice relative to the eyes, I know that all is well. And I probably have it going in a good spot. That is the basic idea. Gonna have to clean that air filter after stream today so it stops freaking me out. It's happened like 3 times this morning. So first, I'm kind of working on the left side here. No particular reason, I just can, so I'm going to. It's the one I feel like doing first. I think it's just because I live in a country where we read left to right, so it just makes sense to my brain to work left to right. I don't think there's any more complicated than that. So I'm working on basically getting the length and width of this little piece coming off just right. Getting it to where it looks like it's rotating. It's like when I go from here to down here, up here is squirming a bit, but I think this area looks okay though. And that's the part that I'm working on right now. So I'll start there. Excuse me for a sec. Feeling a little bit phlegmy. Let me go deal with that. Okay, all better. I think I haven't quite adapted to winter yet. Once the heater comes on, the air dries out a little bit. And we have a humidifier that keeps things pretty good, but I still need to be drinking more water than I am. And that, and you know, I have 2 kids under the age of 5. So they tend to make you a little bit sick constantly. Their immune system's not quite as good as fighting off illness as an adult. It's still learning. I can only imagine that's going to get worse once the older one starts school next year. That's okay. I'll be ready for it. Alright, so I guess today is just going to be all about the tips of the bangs. It's okay, I gotta start somewhere, and this area tends to be quite slow relative to a lot of the areas that come later. Just because it is very detailed. Like, look at all those dots, man. There's a ton of dots. Gives me lots of control over where these textures go, but it is a bit of a pain to work with sometimes. But it's alright. It is what it is. It'll help me make things look good. Alright, we're gonna go eyeless Shalom again. It's like I know I said that I was using her eyes as kind of an anchor point here. But I kind of want to take a look at how some other things are going here. And the eyes are kind of getting in the way of me seeing where some of these dark areas are. I think overall, the bangs are mostly in the right place. It's just making them look good movement-wise. So right now the biggest movement problem that I'm having is, let's go up and down here and pay attention to this area here. It's gonna look a bit funny. See? See how this corner right over here just juts out really hard? That's not something I want. So that's next on my things to fix list here. It actually is a pretty good representation of how I go about deciding what to work on next, and this is both true of rigging and drawing. And that after not working on it for a day, I look at the picture again, and I decide which area is bothering me the most. Which area do I like the least? And I work on that. With few exceptions. Some exceptions being, I'll often want to work on the face early on in a drawing. But sometimes in order to really finish the face, I have to draw the hair, because the hair is on top of the face. And I need to know where the shadows from the hair fall in order to finish off the face and make it all look good and all that. And so at that point, I'd actually do the hair first, not the face. I'd probably do part of the face, enough to start getting things looking good, just because I always like to do the face early. But at some point I do have to get the hair done before I can properly finish the face and fix some of those problems that I see sometimes. That being the most clear example. When it comes to rigging, though, I can pretty much just look around and say, oh, that doesn't look good, let's fix it. And it's fine. It doesn't really matter what order I do things in. It's like, maybe it does, but I have not yet found a place where it has really mattered that much. I just never doubt anything just due to my relative beginner skill level still. But I really have not felt like I need to do things in a specific order in order to make things look good. Other than, you know, maybe save the corners for last. But besides that, it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, we're gonna give her a chin for a second here. Okay. I just wanted to take a look at this shadow here while she had a chin, so I could see if it was in a good spot or not. It is not, alas. But I wanted to verify before I started moving it around. Okay. So I'm going to start going into a lot of the bigger areas that I see here, rather than getting caught up on the tips for the time being. Just gonna slide some things on over. And I think for that, I'm gonna put her head back. Oh, no, not her head, but just because the head is too similar in color to these parts of the tips over here, and so sometimes it can be hard to see. But I will let her have her eyes back. She can have her eyes back, I guess. So before I move things around too much more, I wanted to adjust, straighten out all the triangles. Sometimes that can also help with problems. But I do think I actually do need to be just pushing this entire little light area just a little bit further to the left. I'm changing the angle of her head a little bit, so I don't want it to be, like, exactly the same as it is in the left head turn. I want the shape to change a little bit. So I'm kind of using her eyes to help guide me in that respect. Her chin probably has better clues as to whether or not it's working well, but like I said, I don't really want to turn on the head just yet, because it's hard to see the tips of her bangs with the head on. It is too close to the skin color. And I get the feeling that's intentional on the artist's part. And just because it is a fairly common technique to put a little bit of the skin tone over the bangs in the face there, just to make them look a little bit more transparent. Make it look pretty nice. And I mean, I do think it looks nice here. It just makes it annoying to rig. Not something I imagine that the artist was especially concerned with when drawing this. After all, how could she possibly predict that some random fan on the other side of the world would look at this and say, ah, yes, this will make a fantastic VTuber model. That's not the kind of thing you can predict, you know? Okay, so my brain has decided that the gradient from the kind of dark to a little bit lighter right here is now the part that's bothering me the most. So that's the part I'm going to work on next. And my brain is probably going to jump around a lot. It does that. I'm not going to worry about it. It can do what it wants today. We've got a lot of bang to edit. And I'm not going to stop until it's done. Or, in like 30 minutes. Whichever comes first. I'm trying to remember when my first stream of this model was. For both art cutting and just the actual rigging here. Because it's like, if I remember correctly, yesterday I numbered part 155. So I've been going at this for a while, haven't I? Rigging is slow. And her hair is scary. So scary. I don't think I'll finish the model by the end of the year, but I do think that I will have the head turns done by the end of the year. And that'll be pretty sweet. If I can have the head turns done by the end of the year, that probably means I'll have the model finished in January. In theory. I only have a mild basis for this. But I will do my best. And we can draw some other things. I have a couple of ideas for some stuff that I want to draw. Haven't decided if I wanted to do like a wedding dress series or a tarot series. I'm not super into like tarot mysticism or anything, but I do like Persona. So that made me kind of interested in some of the stuff there, and I think it's funny. Plus, a lot of the artistic aesthetic that goes into tarot cards and some of the other occult things is pretty rad. I enjoy it lots. As you might expect from my Inktober drawings where I drew some, like, magic circles and stuff. They're cool. Looks so cool. I don't care if they hold no real power, they're cool. The aesthetic is really pretty. I like it. So those are my two ideas floating in my head right now. Either fashion or mysticism. Let's go. Two very fun things for me. It ties back to why I'm looking forward to Infinity Nikki. I've never really been interested in fashion on myself, but when it comes to designing it and doing character design, man, very fun time. See, my fun comes in figuring out what other people will wear. Or fictional fictional characters would wear, yeah. How to communicate their personality and all of that via, I don't know, cool clothes-based design elements. So I'll probably put a poll on that up sometime. I figure I should actually get closer to finishing the model before I think too hard about these things. Because, I mean, knowing my brain, I'm probably going to get a new idea in the next month, and I'll be like, ooh, gonna add that to the poll. But there's not much I can do about that. Thoughts come and go. It's fine. If something jumps out at me like, oh yes, I really want to do this, then I might do that instead, but who knows. Right now I like both of these ideas, and I don't quite know which one I want to do first. But I have like all the major arcana mapped out, and random ideas for neat wedding dresses. Just all these things. This is part of why I've been working on speed and art a little bit. Because I got lots of things I want to draw, and I just cannot. There are not enough hours in the day. So the only way to do it is to draw faster. Gotta be speed. Gotta be speed, I say, as I spend all this time just slowly poking away at some bangs here. It's okay, it's a work in progress. That's why I said I'm working on it, not that I have it. And oh boy am I working on it. And honestly, when it comes to rigging, I'm not quite as worried about it. I don't think I'm at the point in rigging where I can start worrying about speed. Because I feel like you can start worrying about the speed that you do things at after you get a degree of mastery over it. And I still feel like I am a relative beginner here. I've got lots of technique to figure out and just what I can do to actually make things look good. And I want to do that first before I start worrying too much about doing it fast. So I'm not especially concerned with being slow at rigging still. Got a lot to figure out still. One step at a time. Oh, but I will say that regardless of which illustration set that I work on next, I will be animating them in Inochi2D. Not gonna do like a full VTuber rig or anything, just a nice little animation on the picture. And I'm excited for that. Basically like what I do for my stream starting and ending screens. It'll be animated like that. And that'll be fun. I like doing that. It's fun, still kind of brings everything to life, and is considerably less of a time commitment. And it's nice because I don't have to be quite as hardcore with my meshing, because I just care about what I know will move. I generally have like an image in my head of how things will move, as opposed to actually creating a full-on digital puppet that moves according to someone's head. Okay, so doing something kind of interesting here. I'm highlighting some vertices. And basically what this is going to do is make it so that when I pull out the brush tool again, only those vertices will move. And so it'll let me safely kind of move this part over to where I want it without me having to worry about touching these areas over here. And so hopefully I can pull all of this a little bit further to the right and get it where I want it without worrying about messing up everything else that I've done. And yes, that is much better. Still got some stuff I gotta fix, but it's better. So I'll take that. And I'm gonna just select things here again. That's what I want to do. Oh. Unfortunately, selecting tools is still a little bit buggy. So we'll see how many times I have to reselect this before it lets me select the brush. Okay, good. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries before it finally lets me select the brush. And now I can make those tips a little bit longer like I wanted to. I will say, out of all the little bang tips here, this little one that splits right here is probably my least favorite to work with. Got a lot of little things here and there, and it's just kind of annoying. It's probably why I didn't do as good a job as I should have with right here. Even though I was going on about saying how I really want to get it all right. I do, but at what cost? But working with those tips is a pain. So I guess I should fix them in the downward turn as well. I'll be good. Let me turn her head back on. Those ones are a little bit darker, so I can kind of see them here. Okay, there we go. Doing much better. And I can tell that I think that they're a bit of a pain to work with, because I kind of did the bare minimum on each turn here, and now I have to adjust it all a little bit. Because my brain has decided to be a little bit more of a perfectionist. Ah, brain. Why couldn't you have done this before? When we were just, you know, working on it the first time. I missed one. Okay, good. I was afraid that it would deselect on me. But we're good. Gently, gently moving it over just a little bit more. And making sure none of the vertices are getting tangled or anything nasty like that, but looks like we're good. There we go. And now this looks fine. Alright, so far so good. I think I've mostly gotten the things on this half looking right. At least in the very tips of the bangs there. I'm basically paying attention to everything below this color transition, so where it's kind of white. Yeah, so far so good. Almost there. And I do think that they're looking quite good. And that the couple of areas that I adjusted on the other turns are just making it look even better. I guess I'll see if I'm able to finish the tips before I head off for today. And I mean, it's looking pretty promising. I think I can get to the end here. Over here isn't looking quite as bad. I was just noticing that I had to slide some things down right through there, so wanted to take a look at that really quick. Try not to get distracted by the highlight and some of the areas that it connects to being weird. I want to focus on the tips for the time being. One thing at a time. But there we go. I think I at least have everything in place vertically now. Go slide some of this over and make the, I don't know, path here just look a little bit rounder. What is that I keep seeing underneath here? It is part of the hair? Okay. There's like a little thing right there. But no, I guess it's just part of the hair. That's fine. It's probably just something that I didn't erase quite properly when I was initially cutting it. But the fact that I just noticed it now means that, I don't really need to worry about it. There are some things that you notice in your art when you zoom into like 1000% and it's just never going to be relevant when you're zoomed out to 100%. And 100% is where it will be viewed, so no need to worry about it. Sometimes I just have to remind my brain of this. So I say it out loud. I think I almost have this little area kind of figured out. Right now I just noticed that, like, certain textures on it are a little bit warped. Yeah, that's definitely not how they are in the original. There's just, like, especially if you look at it, like, right there, it's a little bit warped. So that tells me that something is not quite in the right place. So otherwise that little texture would not look like that. Are they that close in the original? They're pretty close, yeah. Sometimes when I have vertices that seem like they're acting a little bit strange, like those two just being very, very close, I just like to go and check the original. The original will show the mesh in its default state, so it can give me a good idea of how it should be looking. How it looks without any kind of distortion on it. Something seems off. It's a good first thing to check. Still just touching things up here and there, but I think I've got the bang tips done. Which is nice, because it means I won't have to work on them tomorrow. And hopefully tomorrow I can do some things that are a little bit more fast-paced and interesting. It's like, I gotta admit, the bang tips, they a bit slow. They take a while and not a lot happens. while I need to work on them, but they are something that I have to put together. If I want this to look good, it's very, very important that I get them right. This is the edge of her hair, and it's right between her eyes, so definitely want to make sure that I get it right. Just noticed that I didn't have the curl on the tip of that bang quite right. You can see it kind of curls downward from the original. So I wanted to put that back in. I lost a little bit of that cute little curl, so I wanted to get it back. We'll see if it's missing on other areas once I go back to work on them. Guess I should check up here too. Yeah, it looks like I do not quite have the cute little curl here either. Let's put it back. This one does. But it could be a little bit better. A little bit cuter. Okay, there we go. There we go. Let's turn her head on and I'll take a look. Alright, just a couple of things I want to fix. Some of it just due to this being a left-facing turn. It's on the lower left. So I kind of want to round out this shadow a little bit more. Make it look, this strand on the rightmost side, look a little bit more prominent. I think it'll just make it look a little bit better. But other than that, I thought things were looking pretty good. Yeah. I think that's the tips done. So now we can just leave her face on. Do not have to be hiding her face anymore. Alright, I think I'll probably head off in a minute or two, but I want to take a moment to start getting the highlight here into place. Haven't really been happy with how it's moving, and it's a very shiny spot, very important spot. So I just kind of want to get the top and bottom of this into a good spot. Have it kind of moving the way that I want it to. Because I do think it looks good when the highlights move just a little bit. Where it's not quite a one-to-one in how they go over, but it like ripples a little bit, like how it would when you move your hair in real life. I think that looks good. Okay, I think that's a good place to start there. And then the other place that I care about is this shadow running around next to the highlight. Most of it is in the right place, but I just wanted to adjust the tip here. And then tomorrow we can start cleaning all that up. So, oh boy, does it need some good cleaning. I mean, look at that. As opposed to how nice it is like here. So I'll just do the last little bit of poking that I want to do there. Just finish up the area below the transition. And then tomorrow, we can start working our way up. But that is where I will end for today. So thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message around me on the social media platform of your choice. I'll take a look. Maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.